Today's gonna be one of those days I don't have anything nice to say. I can feel it. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you've never been here before, I'm Fat Sajak, and if you've never experienced my rage, please know that I not only made my bed and turned on lights, but I am sitting down at 7:24 p.m. to film a video. That doesn't happen. Usually I'm balls deep in a bag of hot Cheetos by now. Today we're going to be talking about Colleen Ballinger, which in all fairness is not a very unique topic on this channel because I think it's important to remember the fallen. Yeah. I made a valiant effort to write up a really well-rounded and witty intro for this video to give a backstory, but unfortunately, if you don't know who Colleen Ballinger is and what she's done and why we're still talking about her, I'm just gonna go ahead and make you a list of videos. I'm gonna need you just to go down there and inform yourself. They're not all mine, if that helps. But as a TLDR, to get you through this video, if you're completely unaware, Colleen Ballinger was accused, with proof, of inappropriate behavior with and the grooming of her minor fans. And to be clear, not grooming in a sexual fashion, which whenever you bring up grooming and Colleen Ballinger, apparently the only type of grooming people have ever heard of is the sexual type of grooming, which is not what we are talking about here. Grooming as manipulation/exploitation, and this is just what the mandatory AI will give you, but most definitions are very near this. In the context of abuse, grooming is a calculated and systematic process used by perpetrators to gain a victim's trust and compliance to facilitate sexual abuse, exploitation, or trafficking. This process typically involves several stages: targeting, building trust and access, establishing a relationship that appears like friendship, mentorship, or even love, often by giving gifts, special attention, or favors. Obviously, not all of these apply. As I said, there was nothing in terms of sexual advancements made from Colleen to fans. Okay, so to be clear, we are not talking about sexual exploitation. Let's just get that out of the way. So, when her inappropriate behavior came to light for the first time in 2020, after being exposed by then, I believe, 17-year-old Adam McIntyre, who was a longtime fan, Colleen made a long-winded, detailed response on her vlog channel, where surely apologies go to be seen by the masses and taken very seriously. This video essentially deflected blame and excused herself of any real wrongdoing with her "aw shucks, I didn't know any better" type mentality, and thereby sending hordes of her crazed fans to Adam. However, in 2023, a now former creator by the name of Cody Tyler came forward and exposed themselves, as well as Colleen, for very weird and inappropriate behavior. This was more than just Adam McIntyre. This was an entire cavalcade of minor fans in group chats. And the Jenga tower absolutely fell. And it also included accusations, again, with proof, of grooming her minor fans, specifically Adam McIntyre. After months of silence, on June 28th, 2023, Colleen shook the fuck out of the internet in only the worst ways when she released "Hi" once again on her vlog channel. And in 10 minutes and 19 seconds, Colleen absolutely obliterated what was left of her career, spending the entire video victimizing herself as the target of, quote, toxic gossip, accusing those who came out against her of lies and misinformation, hidden in what became an unfortunately very, very catchy song with a ukulele backdrop. Now 2.5 years, 20 million views, and an insane dislike to like ratio later, Colleen largely speaks nothing of this scenario. And it's my belief it's because there are actually some legal implications that could be brought forward in these instances. Specifically with Trisha Paytas, whose nudes were sent to people for the sheer joy of making fun of her. And allegedly, one of those recipients was the then underage Adam McIntyre. Anyhow, she alludes to the situation here and there, with a poorly thought out ukulele joke on occasion, or an anecdote about the before times, but largely she speaks nothing of it, rightfully so. She uploads vlogs almost daily and complains about her life so much that you'd never know she was once a successful performer and not just some trapped stay-at-home mom housewife with 3 kids and chickens. Today, however, Raven Simone and her partner Miranda, funnily enough, released an episode of their podcast Tea Time, I think it's called. It doesn't matter. They released an episode with Colleen today, and oh boy. I've seen some clips, I've seen some snippets. I have not sat down and watched the entire thing in its entirety. So we are gonna essentially blind react to this together today, because we don't do rewriting history in this house, and thus far I have seen a lot of her attempts to rewrite history. So we're gonna watch this, we're gonna commentate on it, we're gonna correct the things we remember, and when I feel like yelling, because it is the evening hours where the rest of my house is asleep, there will be moments where I'm going to grab this lapel mic and my rage is gonna come in real close like this, because I can't yell, so I gotta use my mom voice. Buckle up, because it's gonna be a f***ing ride. Was that really a TLDR? Probably not. Anyway, make sure you're subscribed to my channel if you haven't subscribed already, unless you don't want to be here, in which case, fuck off. No, come back, wait. So, like the video if you're into that kind of thing, if you're feeling freaky. I also have a Patreon where we basically just rewatch a lot of nostalgia content. We're rewatching Teen Mom, both 2 and OG right now, as well as the Isle of the 90s series from VH1, and I am, pretty soon we're going to be watching Spice World, so if you're into all that, Patreon's the way to go. I'm not going to keep talking, because I would like to get this over with. All aboard!
Today, we're sitting down with Colleen Ballinger, actress, comedian, and YouTuber best known for her character Miranda Sings.
I don't think that's what she's best known for anymore, but sweet glasses nonetheless.
If you were anywhere online in 2023, you probably saw Colleen's name trending. It's because she was accused of crossing personal boundaries with fans.
With proof. Gee, I sure hope that you're going to remember that she was accused of these things with tangible proof. I'm sure you will.
Some of whom were minors, and the response was intense.
I think with the exception of Johnny Silvestri, who, don't even get me started on that slimy sleazeball, but most of whom were children.
She posted a response video that made the whole situation blow up even more. And what followed was one of the biggest public cancellations we've seen in a while.
This is actually the first time that we're meeting Colleen, and we've decided to do it now because we feel like enough time has passed for reflection and learning, and for a real conversation behind the headlines.
It's easy to form opinions based on what we see online, but harder to sit down face to face and ask questions about what's really happened, what someone's taken from it, and how they're moving forward.
Okay. All right.
Our goal isn't to revisit every detail, but to understand the human side of the story.
Well, to understand the human side of the story, you actually have to revisit every detail, because they all matter. And a lot of things got glossed over. Like, when was the last time somebody brought up Colleen's brother Trent and his behavior toward Oliver? I feel like that one got lost in the sauce, and it was a pretty concerning situation
that became very public.
So today, Colleen is here to share her perspective in her own words, to share what she's learned, what she regrets, and what she hopes all of us take away from it now.
Stay out of group chats with minors when you're in your late 20s and early 30s. Are we okay? Like, I know this is going to make me mad, but like, I should probably reserve some of it.
Welcome back to another episode of Tea Time. Today on the podcast, we have somebody who you definitely know, because if you know YouTube,
you know her.
You know her.
I feel like neither one of you know who you're about to talk to. I mean, listen, like Miranda Sings was a popular character for children. I mean adults. I mean children. I mean, it depends on what narrative Colleen's going with today, but I don't think that the name is ubiquitous in terms of the YouTube landscape. I just feel like Raven and I are the same age. Okay, first of all, I don't know anything about her wife. She seems interesting, but I feel like my aunts are about to tell me about YouTube drama.
You have to know her. Colleen Ballinger.
That is it.
Ironic that they're mispronouncing her first name, but we're concerned about mispronouncing her last name.
That is my name.
We said it right.
You did.
I get so nervous about like butchering people's names, even though I know your name is
'Cause
Colleen
everybody
Ballinger,
butchers
and I've
hers.
said it so many times.
I'm sorry to be petty, but I hate this already.
It wouldn't bother me if you did. Most people don't say it right. My whole life it was Colleen Ballinger.
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 Yeah,
People say
I'm
usually.
Mayday, and so people are always like
Midday.
Mayday, because it's not with the middle Y.
Oh, okay.
So it gets
okay.
very
Yeah, my name is Raven. People call me Janet. It's so weird. I don't understand.
okay.
Anyway, we really appreciate you being
we're
here
really happy that
today.
you're here.
That was good. That was a good one. Also, like, people literally mispronounce Raven's name all the time. It's Simone. It's Jackson if you're nasty.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, there is a very big elephant in the room,
Yeah,
and I think that we just have to address it.
Sure.
immediately.
Why Miranda?
I think we're all wondering that.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was thinking about that. I was like, how do we address this when I get there?
It's pretty massive.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. I mean, luckily for you, she's been gone for a while, so you don't have anyone to compete with that
Yeah,
name. But
Thank you.
yeah. I mean, do you actually want the answer to that question?
Yes,
Or-
I do.
Why Miranda? Why did I name her? Why does she exist?
Why did you name her? We'll get into
Why
the
did you
other
name
stuff
her
later.
and then that?
I was in college doing a play, like a one-act thing, some student-run thing, and I was cast as the role of Miranda. And I thought it was a show about Disney princesses. That's what I was told. And so I was like, I'm going to get Belle. And then it was like, you're Miranda. And Miranda was like the mean, rude girl
What they say about college theater. It's very astute.
in the show. And then when I actually performed it, I think our biggest audience was like 7 people or something. There wasn't a lot of people who came.
To a college production. I mean, I know she went to like a Christian college, but Jesus.
So when my friends came, I would sing just off key, just a little bit, like just under the pitch or just above the pitch, or like be awkward on stage to make them laugh.
Yeah.
And so when I created the character, I needed a name. I just finished that show, and I didn't put much thought into it. It was just, I just did this character with this name, so I'll use that.
Wow, that's truly a riveting story.
You know,
Wow.
You're a mom of 3 now,
I can't believe that.
right?
That's
3
so.
babies.
I don't know if keep thinking there's gonna be a day where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a mom. Like it doesn't. I can't. Like it can't even. It doesn't. Like I obviously am a mom, and I love my kids more than anything in the world. But it's like, I love Flynn, Maisie, and Wesley. Like I'm like they're not. I don't have 3 kids.
How old do you feel in your body or in your brain? Like, how old do you feel? Because I feel like 20 sometimes.
20s? Yeah, I'd say like mid to late 20s. I feel like I'm stuck there, like in my mind.
Nah. I feel like you're stuck in high school in your mind, but okay.
Like that's maybe even younger. I don't know, but I definitely don't feel like I'm in my 30s. And when people say my age, I'm like, oh my God, why are you calling me old? Like I don't, and I'm like, oh, they just said my age. Got it. You know, so
What is your age?
Interesting.
Hilarious.
Oh, me? Oh, you're 38.
8, I think. Yes, 38.
We're the same age.
You're 38?
I'm 38.
You look a lot younger than that.
But thank you.
You look like what did you say before we started? A young British boy.
Yes. I'm a young British
The loving words I heard them speak to
Hello.
each other before we started filming.
But let's talk about it though, because you come from a big family. And I'm sure that when you have that many siblings, like you're just able to say whatever and blurt it out, and it's like joking and moving around. And one thing that I learned when I was on The View is that there's a difference between live, in front of the audience, and what's happening at home.
Where are we going with this? Also, I really enjoy the way that Colleen was like, you look so young. And like, they were like, there are no face filters on someone else's podcast. You know what I'm saying? Not that I'm knocking Colleen for her looks, all right? But she looks tired as shit. And when you don't sleep and you prioritize doing crafts till 3 a.m., you're you're gonna look like it eventually.
And it took me a while to kind of learn that conversation. So to slowly just kind of talk about it, do you feel like you're at home when you're in front of a camera and you feel like that, or have you?
Totally.
Okay.
I mean, that was the whole thing, right? I mean, when I started doing YouTube, it was like kind of when YouTube started.
Yeah.
So the whole appeal of it, I feel like back then, was that these people who were getting famous online, they weren't celebrities. They were real people. We were in our home. Like, that was the appeal of it, is that we were your friend, someone who's just, I'm talking to you from my living room, from my kitchen, talking about my day. So yeah, definitely it's really hard to separate the two, between like what's private home life and then what's part of the public persona.
Okay, but like also, I feel like that is a personal thing, because I feel like that is a middle-aged woman's inability to set boundaries. I am 39 years old. I love you people, okay? I love the people in my Patreon that I've gotten, more familiar with over time. I love that I have an audience that will come and show up, and I can be real with you, and I can talk to you on a one-on-one feeling. Like, for me, it feels like one-on-one because there's only one of you, because you're a camera, but like, I feel like, it's a more personal experience, but it's only as personal as I want it to be. What I give to an audience is only what I allow to be given. Does that make sense? Talking about how it's hard to not blur the lines between what's, your home life and what you're giving to an audience is insane, in my opinion, especially for an adult who started as an adult. That's crazy. I love my audience. But you're not going to see every aspect of my life. You're not, I'm not putting my kids online. I'm not giving you a house tour. So to me, it's weird. There has to be a healthy boundary between creator and audience, right? Like, we can be friendly, and we can be friendly in a DM. We can be friendly in the little chats in the Patreon, or in the live premieres, or the comments section. But at the end of the day, there has to be a separation between audience and creator. The same way that there has to be a difference between work and home, right? Which is hard for people who work at home. But you have to create a balance. Otherwise, you get attacked by a fucking ukulele.
To me, it was always one and the same. So, and that was, that was a hard thing for me to figure out the lines and boundaries of that, because I thought that was the whole appeal of like back then, when I started doing YouTube, it's that I wasn't a celebrity. The people who rose to fame in the beginning, they're just like us. They're, that's.
Yeah, that's cool. And in some ways they still are. Like, smaller YouTubers are still just like us. That doesn't mean you need the gory details of my divorce. That doesn't mean I'm going to ask a question about your virginity or your first period.
Is that what made you want to start YouTube?
No.
What made you want to start?
It was brand new. When I found it was like brand new. I, saw that people were talking to a camera alone in their room. And I was like, that's so strange, because now everyone talks to their phone, talks to their camera constantly. It's like, that's all we do all day. Mm-hmm. But 20 years ago, that was like, what are they doing? Do they know that I can see this? Like, I can see them sitting in their room talking to the camera. So I created the character of Miranda, and not you, but like my actual character. And
why is Raven like stroking Miranda? Like, what are we doing? Make me separate you two.
Put it online for my friends. Like, it was a joke for my friends. Because like I said, I used to sing a little bit off the pitch, like in theater and choir, to make them laugh. So I created this character that was like a little off with her singing, but was really cocky. I thought it was funny, and I put it on to send to my friends. And so I only uploaded stuff to YouTube to send to family and friends as like a joke, or, performance videos of me to send to my parents at home. I was in college.
Yeah, dog. That's how everybody's like early YouTube journey was in that era, because that's what YouTube was created for. It was a social media platform where you could post videos and then send them to your friends. Like that was the point of YouTube. Like I am bored of all the OG YouTubers have the same like origin story. It's like, yeah, girl, that's what YouTube was. Like, can we just move on? Can you get to the meat and the potatoes of this shit?
I have a question about Miranda.
Okay.
Why the red lipstick?
Well, in the beginning, I would do whatever people didn't like. Because in the beginning, originally, I thought it was so funny that people couldn't tell if she was real or not. And so people thought it was real. And
Meaning they
thought Miranda was a real person.
Like that
Like
was
Pee Wee
you.
Herman.
Yeah, they thought
Okay.
it was. So for a while, that was it. Like people thought Miranda was a real person, and so whatever people said they didn't like in the comments, I would do it more because I was like, who sits and just writes like these are strangers to me. I don't know these people. And again, this is when it was all new. Like this is brand new
Sorry,
to me into
Colleen,
the world.
it's still happening.
Oh yeah, but
I'm a little aware that
It's like,
it's still happening.
these comments
Yeah,
are
yeah.
crazy.
So what
See the comments from your video today, girl. Holy shit. Oh boy. Yeah. I'm only keeping this Miranda origin story in because I have a point to make later that I know is going to come up. Because it always does. I haven't even seen a clip where it comes up. I just know it's going to come up. So I'm just we're just letting the Miranda origin story play out a little here, okay?
different now. It's much different now than it was. But when they started trickling in, it was like they'd say, "Oh, I don't like how you pronounced this word," and so I'd mess up how I pronounce words more moving forward. I've tried to egg on the comments a little bit in the beginning because I thought it was funny that people thought it was a real character.
It sounds like you were doing
real person, I mean. Sorry.
It sounds like you were doing performance art and having the audience inform you of where to go next, knowing that a little tinge of under the note is very appealing at times, right? And that's how you kind of gained your following, by just a little bit of irritation to where people could hate and could love at the same time.
Wow. That was deep. Performance art. What?
Right. Yeah, I think the appeal in the beginning was that people couldn't tell if it was real or not. And then when people figured out that it wasn't real, they felt like they were in on a joke or something. They were in on it, and that was fun for them. And, like I said in the beginning, it was an older audience for the first few years of my career, and I was doing a lot of, nightclubs and stuff like that.
Like, how old do you think?
I just graduated college, so there were people my age, but it was the gay theater community. It was like a lot of like older gay men that would like come to my shows, and so my comedy was it was crass and over the top and whatever, but they liked that they were in on this joke. And Miranda was a lot more subtle at the beginning too. Over time it became this like really dramatic, more cartoony, like intense character, but like in the beginning it was much more subtle.
Okay, but also like referring to Miranda as crass is probably technically correct, but it's also like it's putting like an air freshener on what she actually means, which is like toilet humor, because like crass, I don't know that I would categorize Miranda as crass.
And over time, as people commented what they did and didn't like, I would do things more. So in the beginning, people, I think, were drawn to the fact of, is this an actor or not? And then once they figured that out, and then the audience kind of grew and changed over the years, the appeal shifted. Because I noticed people started coming to the shows and saying that they were inspired by the character, and they were inspired by her resilience, and that she didn't care what haters said about her, and she didn't care that people were bullying her. She still just was her true authentic self and was confident no matter what anyone said.
And what grade were they in?
And so, and that was never my intention, but it was a cool thing to watch happen, that all of a sudden people were inspired.
And this
by
was still live, right? This was not on YouTube yet.
Well, it was on YouTube. It was both. So I had YouTube, and I used YouTube as a way to promote the live shows. So online it was mostly, people hating Miranda. I mean, there were some comments too, like laughing and thinking it was fun and silly and whatever. But yes, it was definitely in person and in fan letters and whatnot. That's where I would get the comments of like, this really helped me, to be myself, to be my weird self, and to have confidence and not listen to the haters. And that was like a really pleasant surprise of doing the character that I wasn't expecting.
Well, yeah. I would think so. I mean, I know when I graduated college, I probably would have been surprised by a 5th grader telling me I was inspiring too.
When Miranda came to be, it really wasn't like that was for an adult audience.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I certainly never thought I'm making a kid show or a kid character or something to entertain children. Like that was never the goal ever actually in my career. And even when I did my Netflix show, that was a discussion that we had constantly because they were like, they were noticing because they came to a couple of my live shows, the people involved, and they're like, oh, there's a lot of teens here. So let's put this on the kids app. And I was like, whoa, this is not a kids show. Like, I do not want this on the kids app. That would be inappropriate. Like, this is 100% not for children. And it was like but they really wanted it there because they saw a younger audience. And they were like, we want the younger audience to be able to see this. And I was like, that's fine. But like, they need their parents' approval because this is not a kids show.
Okay, but by the time Haters Back Off came around to Netflix, and this was the point I wanted to talk about, thank you, bump set spike on that one. By the time Haters Back Off came to Netflix, it was a kids show. Whether or not you were writing it for kids, your audience was kids. And I know this because adults wouldn't find this iteration of Miranda Sings funny because it's not fucking funny. It's toilet humor with allusions to familial molestation. I don't think Miranda Sings is for anyone, but I definitely don't think it's for adults who can read above a 2nd grade level. Insane work. Also, by the way, while we're skewing this perception in real time, I'd like to remind you that even if you made this show for teens, teens are children. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, children by law. I would argue 18, 19 also still children, but legally adults. So whether or not it's a kids show on a technical level, it was marketed to kids because kids were your audience, because kids are the only people who can legitimately find Miranda Sings funny. And I feel like that's a huge blanket statement. There's going to be a handful of you whose feelings are hurt because they're like, oh my God, I found Miranda Sings funny that one time. No offense, no shade to you. It's all shade to her.
And this isn't a kid character. So I never set out for it to be for kids or, it was, like I said in the beginning, my comedy was pretty crass. And you can go back and look at like my old original content, my first videos I ever uploaded. Like my humor was that of like a, mid-20s girl who was in theater and, with all my gay friends we were being like silly and ridiculous and
trying to push the gay agenda here. But like, are we really referencing our gay fan base because we're on a podcast with 2 gay women or what? Also, like, I've heard her say this a couple times, that the show was never intended for kids. And one thing I want to point out is that I feel like we're going to be talking a lot about intent versus impact. And I want to get it out of the way right now that personally, for me, I do believe that it is impact over intent like 98% of the time. Like, I think there is some like leeway in there where like, intent really is kind of, I would actually change those margins a bit. I would say maybe like 85% impact over intent, because there is a percentage of time where intent is an important factor. Any of these scenarios, not so much.
Crude, but the people who watched me, they liked that style of comedy and that style of humor.
Oh, like the kind where you...
Look at that cherry jam in here. Look at that cherry. Looks like it popped.
This is my cousin. We work at the taco together. Of course, but I am soon to be a manager. She just got promoted to the drive-thru, so she talks to the people.
Sure did. Made it nice and wet inside the crack. I know, maybe I've noticed Your biscuit is a little flaky and dry. Looks like it could use some moisture.
A little butter on your biscuit can go a long way.
Just a little tiny butter on your biscuit can make it slick enough to slide right down your throat.
Your eyebrows look especially good today. I know today is because I have like the natural hair coming.
Did you?
You're like looking at your own image and it's like.
Jace, I'm looking at myself because I think I look pretty today.
Man,
My
I am
hair
so
is
good.
Oh yeah, just rub your stick on the edge of my bun.
Or are we just talking about Miranda? I'm just making sure. I'm just checking. Just asking.
You said that Miranda sings. You had a good 20-year run. 20-year run with that. You got a Netflix show, girl. I ain't even had a Netflix show. God damn. I'm sorry. You had a Netflix. Thank you.
Yep.
I can do anything. You had a 20-year run. You explained that you hustled to make that character what it was, and then the world imploded. And then you got canceled. And then you had all these accusations
With proof.
and a lot of voices come through the screen that had been rooting for you for so long. You had the rug pulled out from underneath you.
Aww. Actually, I think having the rug pulled out from underneath you implies that it's undeserved and unexpected. What happened to Colleen was neither.
We will get into those and kind of talk a little bit about some of the comments people have made and how certain situations have made watchers and viewers feel. But I first want to ask you, when you first got that ting about, oh no, something is going astray, what happened personally, internally?
Yes. Personally, internally, financially, musically.
It was kind of a slow build. And I feel like I felt it brewing for a little bit first,
You should, because it first came up in 2020 when you were exposed for sending lingerie to Adam McIntyre.
It was a very jarring experience. And first, I think I should say, when my audience kind of grew and it went from this older audience to, it spread and there was now a lot more teens watching me. I didn't adjust my comedy very much because I was like, well, they found me doing this, so this is what they like and this is what I like, so I'm going to keep doing the comedy they like. And I did adjust it a little bit over time. But one thing that I didn't do, and I should have been much more careful about, is I didn't adjust my interactions with my fans.
Duh. I was just going to interject and say, you don't have to adjust your content based on who's watching. But the way that you interact with the people that are watching, yeah, you probably should.
And that's something I regret a lot because, like I said earlier, the difference between me and a mainstream celebrity, at least in the beginning, was that I was attainable and look, she'll talk to us, she'll interact with us, and she's talking to us from her living room, she'll talk about anything. And she's so open and she'll talk one-on-one with us. She meets us in person at her shows.
For a fee. It's a business transaction, technically.
And whatnot, and we know her, and I didn't think about that when I was interacting with my fans, I didn't think about a power dynamic that could have been there. I didn't think about a parasocial relationship, and I should have. I should have been more responsible in thinking about that, but I didn't even think of myself that way.
Okay, that's a totally fair thing to think for a while. Also, this would have been good in either the high video or fall vlog where she pretended to take any semblance of accountability. This would have been a really good straightforward thing to say to your audience. Even if it ends up being like a cop-out victim blaming moment, it still would have been more authentic than fucking toxic gossip train.
I was like, yeah, we are friends. Like, I think I felt the same way. And so for me, I was like, well, I'm just talking to my friends. I talk to all of them like they're my friends, my sisters, all the fans. And I definitely should have been more careful with the way I was joking with them and the things I was saying to them.
Being in a group chat with them and talking to them extensively at all. Should a very young fan find themselves in my DMs, I am not going to be engaging with them in any sort of extensive way. And it's not that I don't appreciate them, and it's not that I undervalue them because they are a minor. It is that they are a minor. You are a child. I am an adult. I am a middle-aged lady. I appreciate you, and I would be cordial should I have opened that DM. But to find yourself in a group chat with a bunch of minors is bizarre to me. It is bizarre behavior.
Do you feel like not having a team earlier in your career hindered you from making better decisions?
I definitely wish I had someone to give me advice.
You had someone to give you advice. First of all, nice softball there, Raven. Second of all, someone to give you advice. You're an adult.
I was with that group of like the first YouTubers that kind of like rose to any sort of stardom or fame, in the beginning. So it's not like there were people before me doing this that I could look to and ask questions about.
Like, how do I stay out of group chats with minors?
This was a new thing. Yeah. And I'm not saying that as an excuse.
No, you are though. You are though.
There's plenty of other people who rose to fame who didn't interact with their fans. And
or there's plenty of people who did interact with their fans and weren't fucking weird about it.
But it was something that I felt was an appeal to why people were watching me at all. And I felt such pressure to like make sure I made my fans happy because I wanted to do anything that they wanted, and I wanted to write back to every letter and respond to every message, and whatever they asked for I wanted to give them and do because they were the reason I had the career that I have.
That's a really nice sentiment. And on the surface, I actually agree. If you look at any of my videos, you'll see that I am often in the comment section. For the first day or two, unless I'm uploading back to back to back to back, I will typically be in my comment section a lot, responding to comments and engaging in conversation. I love my comment section. But my comment section is public. My comment section is public domain. It is a public conversation. I like to engage with my audience in a public conversation because I post public videos and public content where we can talk about it publicly. I have no reason to take that to a DM. I have no reason to make my audience try to like me more because we're in a group chat. That is weird fucking behavior.
If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have the life that I have and the amazing career that I had. And
it sounds like everything you were doing online was from a place of trying to please your fans and connect with your fans and
not lose them.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you actually fucking fist fucking me right now? Wow.
That's pressure.
But even with all of that, I wish first that there was someone there to help guide me and say like, hey, this could look bad taken out of context. This could look like, this could make someone uncomfortable, or, I wish there was someone there to kind of help guide me. But at the same time, I'm also disappointed in myself that I didn't know better.
Yeah, dog. You were a grown adult. Hello? You were a fully grown adult. Listen, we don't know what we don't know, okay? And that's life, I feel like there are a lot of things that in my early 20s and mid 20s, I didn't catch up with until my 30s, okay? And things that I probably should have known a lot sooner. But you know what? We know what we know and we move on. I'm not going to hold other people responsible, even like in a void, in an ether of people who should have existed to guide me through that thing that I didn't know. I'm not going to hold that. That abstract idea is not responsible for my behavior. I am. Only me, solely, for the good and the bad. That's part of being a person. And it's okay to be wrong, but you have to admit it when you are, because otherwise you're just an asshole.
Because other people did. So why didn't I? So that's something that I've had to work through is like, why didn't I think more about this? Why didn't I think more about, a parasocial relationship? But
do you have answers to those questions?
I think it all boils down to me just really wanting to make them the people pleasing tendency of like, I want to do this because this will make they're begging me
you wanted them to love you.
I wanted them to love me. I wanted them to like my content. I wanted them to be happy with what I was putting out there because, like I said, everything that I had was because they supported me. And so, that's what I was trying to do, but it would have been so much better for me to think about their well-being and if this would affect anyone in a negative way. Like, that's what I wish I had done.
But you didn't do that. And then when you were met with the fact that you didn't do that, what you did was say, I didn't do that. Your thoughts?
When did you realize that people were starting to be negatively impacted?
Oh man, there's multiple moments because it was, like I said, it was a slow build, but like I'd see people who had been fans for a long time would come to every show, were commenting on everything that at this point I'd recognize because I would talk to them and I knew them, and to see them slowly drop off one at a time was like, oh, they're very upset. That was painful and really sad. And
that is painful and really sad. Also, hang on, I have a question. If your motivation for being in group chats with minors and being inappropriate in several ways with minors in group chats was because you wanted them to love you and because they gave you your career and you sort of felt like you owed it to them and you wanted to do right by them. When you saw them dropping off and you saw that they were upset and clearly very hurt, why didn't you apologize? Why didn't you take ownership? If you cared about them so much, why didn't you, talk to them about it? You were already in the group chats. You knew where to find them. As you said, you recognized them because you knew them. Why didn't you just take accountability with them? I'll wait.
I wish I had listened more when all of it happened. I was so caught up in the things that weren't true that were being said about me.
Like, for example, which were, thus far, to my knowledge, the only things that have been deemed not true were the things that were stated by Johnny Silvestri, and most of those things were about Josh. So I'm struggling to understand what was not true.
That I feel like I wasn't listening to the things that were true and the things that I did make mistakes doing and take responsibility for those things. Instead, I was like, well, they're saying all these other things about me that are lies and that's not true. And I was angry about those things. And I wish that I had just paused and listened for a second.
I wish you would just explain the things that were not true. I would love to hear what those are. I'd like examples. I'd like you to cite your sources.
There's a lot of things that were said about you. There's been allegations of grooming behavior. Or how do you, what do you think they're talking about?
Before I allow Colleen to answer, I think it's very interesting that we are having this conversation with Miss Raven Simone. Or Simone, depending on how you want it. Because not only was Raven a child actor for damn near all of her life, she also grew up with her first major job being on The Cosby Show. I've seen a lot of people say that she's defended Bill Cosby. I've heard her say that it's hard for her to separate the Bill Cosby that she grew up with and knew and the monster that he actually is, and that she feels like she can hold both of those truths separately. I haven't heard her speak ad nauseum about it, so I don't really know. I'm not willing to die on the hill that she never said, that she never said that, that she gave him a pass or whatever. But like, even outside of Bill Cosby, growing up in Hollywood as a child actor, she had to have been exposed, if not herself, with the people around her, to child grooming in some capacity, because it is rampant in Hollywood where children are concerned. And it's wild to me that we're having this conversation. And my arm itches.
That's the one that got me the hardest. When that allegation came up, that's when I was I was out. I was done. Because that was devastating and shocking. It was very shocking because I know that my intention and my actions have never been fueled with the desire to manipulate or groom anybody ever. That has never been something I have done or will ever do.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, Adam McIntyre has said that in those group chats, she would send them out to get dirt on other people for her. She gave Adam the job of essentially of social media manager for her account with the vague potential for compensation and employment. She got him to come out, have his parents drive him all the way to, I think it was Dublin when she was in town, and she changed the plans and the location and the time, and then ended up abandoning him in Dublin. So let's look at our checklist. Targeting, identifying a person with perceived vulnerabilities. Okay, we could call that the lack of adult supervision is noted. We can say that that's the power dynamic, right, between a creator and their audience, specifically their young audience, minor children audience. Building trust and access. You get access to Colleen in a group chat. You get access to talk to her, to do her bidding so that she'll like you best. You know, to do the bitchiest thing so she'll like you the best. To be the funniest and the snarkiest so she'll like you the best. It appears like a friendship, a mentorship, you know, social media manager. Often by giving gifts, we'll get there soon, special attention or favors. Sometimes integrating themselves with the victim's family or community. So again, this is one of those scenarios where the impact overrides the intent, like 1,000,000%. Shut up back there. You can say you didn't intend to groom people. I would never do that, but you did do that. You did do that. And this is never going to go away until she's honest with herself and the audience.
And it's a very serious accusation.
Very serious.
Mm-hmm. So when those kind of words started being thrown around, that's when I kind of was, I kind of shut down, and it really was, that was devastating to hear. And
it must have been devastating to be on the receiving end of. Did you hear anything any of these people actually had to say? Adam, Becky, Oliver, hear any of it? Did you actually hear any of it?
You know, you asked, what does that mean to other people? That's why this was a hard thing for me to know how to navigate, because it wasn't about what did she do or what didn't she do. It was more about what was her intention behind some of these actions.
No, it was about what you did. It was about what you did. You chalking it up to your intentions doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything, because what happened is what happened. And you can rewrite how that is packaged any way that you want, but it's still what happened.
I think, and my intention was being decided for me by people talking about it. My intention wasn't to hurt or do anything negative ever. Now, that doesn't mean that people weren't hurt.
Yeah, no shit. When you leave your house in your car, your intention could be to go to Dollar Tree, and you could accidentally hit a fucking pedestrian and kill them. That doesn't mean you went out with the intention to kill somebody with your car. The impact was that you did. And you can't rewrite history to bring that person back to life. It doesn't work that way.
Right. And that's the part that I wish I had paid more attention to. But I obviously didn't handle the situation the way that I should have. And it's really embarrassing. I wish that I could handle it a lot differently than I did.
When you say that, are you talking about like the apology
Talking
videos?
about a musical instrument that I should have not picked up. Yes, I mean, I should have listened to what people were saying.
Okay, listen to this. Stop laughing when you talk about this. I know a lot of people laugh when they're uncomfortable or whatever, but like, stop, because it devalues everything that you're saying, and it makes me feel like you don't mean any of it.
I should have.
I think people want an apology. I think people want for you to acknowledge the things that happened on stage. I hope that you give that to them.
I wonder what that edit was. But yeah, people wanted an apology. They wanted an explanation. They wanted you to acknowledge what you had done, to answer for yourself, and to apologize. Even Adam McIntyre said himself he would let it go if you apologize to him publicly and privately and to his mother. No one has received an apology. By the way, we're 21 minutes into this. No one has received an apology. It was a lot. The vibe is very sorry you feel that way, but no real apologies have yet been given.
I agree with you. I think that they do want an apology, and I am sorry.
Okay, that would have meant more coming from anywhere else. Long form video on your main channel. Start there.
Hey, they're editing me here. I just noticed something when I was editing this clip, and I'm sure other creators are going to pick up on this when we start watching it, but I want you to watch this clip back and let me know if you notice something, namely where a jump cut is.
I agree with you. I think that they do want an apology, and I am sorry. And here's the thing is,
we didn't bother to finish that thought. I love the unedited version of this. That's all I'm saying.
and here's the thing is, when you mess up and when you make a mistake and do something wrong, sometimes you got to keep apologizing for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes when you call a thing a mistake, it doesn't make it a mistake, you know? When you act with intention and then call it a mistake because it was bad, that doesn't change the fact that it wasn't a mistake. It doesn't automatically bibbity-bobbity-boo that shit into a mistake.
And that's what I should have done. Like, and people keep saying it's an apology song. I didn't apologize in that thing.
You did not.
I did not.
You know what?
There
You are
was
correct.
no
You did not
sorry
apologize.
in that.
You did not. I was actually laughing.
Great. I'm glad somebody was laughing. Anyway, also, I'm confused. Saying that's what I should have done, you have had 2.5 years to still do that. Like, there's no moratorium on apologies, girl. If you're gonna actually acknowledge the things that you've done and actually apologize for them, do that. This isn't it. This is not your apology. This is the actual insanity of coming onto a podcast and then going, I'm so sorry. Like, I should have said that. Like, yeah, and you still should. Like, none of these people have received an apology from you. Hello?
I'm telling you, that was some crazy penmanship.
We also, when in watching it, I remember one of the things that we talked about was it felt like you were angry.
Yeah,
and,
I was.
and burnt out and just
Fed up.
Yeah, fed up.
I was.
Yeah.
And it's very clear that I was angry. And that's why I keep saying I wish that I had just paused for a second.
That was after months. By the way. She had a very long silence. She had plenty of time to think that through. Remember, her team told her she shouldn't talk about it, but they didn't tell her she couldn't sing about it.
And listened to my fans, to my supporters.
And process.
Because while there were things being said about me that weren't true, my people who would support me for so many years that I'm up here saying, like, I just wanted them to be happy. I wanted to make them happy. Well, they wanted an explanation. They wanted to understand what was going on.
They were the ones who were affected, pretty much. I mean, I know there are, like, millions of them, but, like, it's not like this was coming from a band of rogue haters. Like, these were people who were fans and who were in close quarters with Colleen. It's not like she got rated on a Twitch stream, you know?
And they deserved that. And I didn't give it to them. Instead, I was angry and sang a song, and which is crazy.
It blew shit up.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was.
I'm aware.
Okay, I'm just letting you know that was crazy, bro.
Absolutely crazy. And I think, when the dust did settle, because I like you were saying, I did want to address it, and I was being told. I got a lot of advice from a lot of people, and the majority of the advice was don't say anything. And I'm sure you know from being in the industry for so long.
I tell her all the time, don't say nothing.
Right. Don't address it. Don't say anything. It will just make it worse. Don't address it. Don't say anything. It'll just make it worse.
Wow, where have we heard that recently? Just kidding. It was from Raw Beauty Christie. The don't say, like, here's the thing. If you are like, oh, I want my fans, I just want to make them happy, I love them, or like, I have a really authentic relationship with my audience. Not saying something when you fuck up isn't the move. Like, human people fuck up all the time. In horrible ways. And it doesn't always mean that they're irredeemable. I mean, she's irredeemable, in my opinion. But, like, it doesn't always mean that people are irredeemable. And a good show of character is actually taking ownership of when you have fucked up. Like, she's saying all the right things. She's had 2.5 years to put it all together. But, like, fucking, like, what? Be a human. Be a person. Be a good role model. So this gaggle of teenagers.
But I'm a different position than a traditional celebrity because people watch me because I was so open and I talked about everything. I mean, I've talked about everything. Like that I've been through, my mental health and my births and my pregnancies and my journey to fame. Like, I mean, everything I've been through, I've talked about online very openly. And so, you know, my audience, that was one of the reasons they liked watching me. And so then to suddenly be like, not only am I not going to talk about this, I'm going to sing this song about it. And like, and it was such a
You're a mess.
choice.
It was such a choice.
I very much.
Such a choice, bro.
Yes. And so I think, you know, I was like getting so frustrated because I was just like, let me just address this. Like, please let me just talk. I just want to talk about this. And so finally after I posted the video, it was shortly after I posted it, I was talking to someone on the phone from my team. And I was like, oh, that was a huge mistake. That was really stupid. It was like there was so much, I have to say something. And finally I let it out.
What does regret feel like?
It feels like chugging down the tracks of misinformation.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. Because because you want to fix it. You can't fix it.
Yeah, but like, here's my question. Why is it that you want to fix it? Because obviously, if she wanted to fix it, right? Obviously, you cannot undo a video like that, right? You can't undo it. But you could eat crow and say, I don't know how to explain that, but let me tell you how I really feel. Let me apologize for the things that I've done. You know, you're so open and all about talking to your audience about everything, and you still haven't come back and said anything about how you really feel, anything about if you're actually sorry, apologies to people directly, or even privately. So I don't believe that she gives a fuck. I think she gives a fuck only because she lost her career. I think Colleen is one of the few, like, effective cancellations because she imploded her career, and I think that is her regret. I don't think she gives a fuck if she actually hurt people. And that's my opinion. You can feel differently. I dare ya.
And that's the worst. Like, I wanted to fix it so bad, and there was no fixing it. There was nothing I could do to fix it. And that was so awful. That was so, because not only did I not address anything that I wanted to address, not only did I not, you know, dispute the lies that I wanted to dispute, and I just made things worse. It was so bad.
What's even worse is, like, it's not like you got on and, like, just came up with, like, some, like, you sat in front of the camera and gave, like, a really heated response or, like, a really angry tirade or, you know, just sat there and vented. You took the time to sit down, write a song with the same chord progression as all of the rest of the songs you've ever written for your channel, and literally sit down and write 2 separate songs, essentially, about this in vague terms, fueled by anger and frustration. It'd be one thing if you came on and you just let it rip and you just fucking went off on everybody and told them what for and all that nonsense, but, like, you sat down and wrote a song, 2, technically, or we'll call it a song with an outro. So you sat down and wrote a 10-minute song, like you're Taylor Swift and there's a red scarf in the room. That is not a mistake. And that leads me to believe that the only regret you have is imploding your fucking career. because you had a beat between when it happened and when you put out Toxic Gossip Train. And in that time, you wrote Toxic Gossip Train. So you really had time to think about it. All aboard.
So where do you think your mind went during that time that you were so unable, I guess, to have the perspective you have now?
Were you trying to save a character? Were you trying to save yourself? Were you just
like completely
blacked out in
kind
anger?
of disconnected from it, and you're like, I'm just going to do this because I'm pissed?
I feel like it was a little bit of all of it. I mean, it was really overwhelming to, have these words thrown around in connection to me and my name that are really horrible. I mean, that's a horrible thing to be and to be accused of.
With proof.
When you know that you are not that. Especially because, in my opinion, that's one of the worst things a person can be. It probably is. And so to be accused of that, knowing that I'm not that.
Are you speaking of grooming?
Grooming.
Be a little clearer. We've done enough of the vague nonsense. Say it.
Grooming and in any way harming
children. Yeah.
Is the opposite of something or someone I am or ever would want to be. And so to be connected to those words was devastating. It still is. And that's something that will
it'll follow you around.
It will
follow you around.
It will.
There were moments in your live shows where there were children brought up on stage and you were, as showbiz says, going for the funny in a lot of moments. However, looking back at moments, there is another person on the internet who is saying that when she went up on stage for your live show, she was a part of the yoga challenge section of your show.
Her name is Becky, and you should probably use her name because she really stuck her neck out on the line and received a shit ton of hate and backlash for just simply speaking. So we should probably use her name. Her name is Becky.
And it made them feel gross. Later in life, they were essayed, and when they look back at that moment with you, they feel similar feelings. Can you dive a little bit deeper into what happened at the yoga challenge?
First, before we dive deeper into what happened at that specific yoga challenge, I think it's important to remember that these children were encouraged to dress, how the fuck does Miranda put it, like porn? So teenagers, which whether your intention was to garner a teenage audience or not, Colleen Ballinger's audience were primarily children. Teenagers who are children. Picked out of the audience by looking the most porn or dressed, the most scantily clad. So just to put that into perspective for you, before we get into what I'm sure will be a truthful and riveting explanation of this yoga challenge situation.
It was a challenge on YouTube for a while for people to try out different yoga poses. Like couples would do it together because if you're not experienced in yoga, it's difficult to do.
But first red flag there, couples would do it together. I think we all remember Julian smashing Jenna's face in and on accident and her nose bleeding. So this is something that couples typically did together.
And so since I'm a YouTuber on my live shows, sometimes I would do challenges from YouTube. So I did that challenge and I'd have people come up on stage and we would try out different yoga poses that popped up on the screen. And obviously we could never do them and I would be, flailing about as Miranda. And there was one pose where there are two people and both legs are spread open, you're holding each other's legs. And I genuinely never thought of it as a sexual or inappropriate thing.
It's not about it being sexual. I mean, I'm sure, linking the assault and this experience together for her may have been, sexual in nature. From an optics standpoint, choosing a girl who was wearing, I do believe, a romper. She was wearing a romper on stage to do a yoga challenge in which she has to have her legs open in a certain fashion. in front of a room full of strangers on a stage, okay? That's what the actual picture that needs to be painted is, okay? She was wearing a romper.
To me, the joke was that when the legs were open to do the pose, the fart sound effect came on screen. So it was like, once the legs opened up, there was a...
Sorry. I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm laughing at the cutback to Raven and Miranda, like, listening to her talk about the joke, like, the gag of the bit being that a fart sound happens and they're both like, yes, tell us more about your hyper-intelligent comedy, Colleen.
Fart sound. And to me, that was all I thought that joke was. I never knew that was something that would make someone feel uncomfortable and trigger emotions and feelings. I feel terrible about that. Genuinely, when I heard about that, I felt so bad.
You are a fucking liar. You are a fucking liar. And you know how I know you're a fucking liar? I'm gonna tell you how I know you're a fucking liar.
I'm not a predator, even though a lot of you think so, because 5 years ago, I made a fart joke.
So you knew how Becky felt. And instead of apologizing to her, or even apologizing to her now, you included it in the fucking song as an out for behavior that you have no authority to decide whether or not it made someone feel a certain type of way. So saying right now that when you heard about it, you felt terrible has to be a lie. Because again, that song took time to write. And Becky was referenced in the song. So if you're gonna actually do this, we're gonna do it properly. You're gonna stop lying. Stop lying.
Because that is something I'd never want to do, is trigger anyone, but especially a girl who's been through horrible things in that manner. Like that, it feels so terrible that me doing this silly yoga joke, in my mind was a silly yoga joke, could be something that could trigger her in such a negative way.
She was wearing a romper on stage with her legs spread open after being encouraged to dress in a scantily clad way in order to be chosen to come up on stage. You don't get to rewrite this. I'm sorry. No.
It affects her in such a negative way. And it's awful. And I'm really proud of anyone who's been able to come forward and express that, because I want kids and minors and anyone to be able to feel like they can speak up if they're uncomfortable.
Hello? Hello, is this self-awareness? Oh, no, don't know her. What are you talking about? You literally just said that you want them to feel like they can speak up. Except that when Becky spoke up, you made a fucking joke of her and mocked her. And while your hordes of stans berated her and harassed her daily, where were you? Were you being a silent supporter of her ability to speak up? Yikes, bitch.
And they can speak up about things that they feel are not okay. They need to be able to feel that way. Certainly, you know, the things that I've done in my comedy in the past, like there's so many things I look back and go, oh my God, I would never do that. Now I can't believe I did that. And it was for the laugh. You know, you're on stage and it is different than when you're online and you can read comments from people who go, hey, that's not cool. And you can go, oh crap. When you're on stage and everyone's laughing and enjoying it and then telling you after, that was the best part of the show when you did this, this, and this. And a lot of the comedy that I did with Miranda, when my audience shifted, I was like, okay, how do I keep this audience that liked this crass humor and now appealed to this younger audience that now is growing so much? And my solution to that was I will still do these more crass innuendo type jokes, and it'll go over the kids' heads, and then the parents will have something to laugh at and the adults will have something to laugh at that are in the audience.
Okay. To the point about I was doing the fart joke for the laugh. Again, you know, hindsight is 20/20 for sure. But if you're standing on a stage in front of thousands of people, and there is a girl walking up to volunteer to do the yoga challenge who is wearing a very short romper and who looks like a child. Send them back to their seats. Find someone with pants. Like, because even saying like, well, it's for the laugh. It's when people are laughing and the joke works. The joke was a young girl. That was the joke. To turn her shows into things full of sexual innuendos because they go over the kids' heads and it makes the parents laugh tells me that you began writing your show for kids. Most shows for kids will have one or two things for adults in it. That's a show for kids.
And that was my solution to that.
That was you rectifying what was going on stage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought, well, everyone knows that I'm a safe person and I don't mean anything negative by this. I was like, well, everyone knows this is in jest, and so it's fine for me to do this because the crass jokes will go over the kids' heads and the adults will laugh at it. And that is how it seemed to me. I didn't think more about how that could be affecting the younger people in the audience.
And honestly, I can understand that a little. But then when it comes to your attention, the way you handled that is where I have an even bigger problem. Because to sit there and go, no, I didn't, no, I didn't, no, I didn't. All I did was tell a fart joke. Girl, I can't with you. I cannot.
Do you feel like you have a different perspective now between, let's say, like bad judgment and harmful behavior?
I definitely do. Yeah, I certainly think that and especially now,
Now that you don't have the opportunity to do this kind of stuff anymore?
Now that I'm a mom, obviously every choice I make, I think about how it could affect my children.
Okay, well, you were a mom at the end of your career too. So, and I also don't think you have to be a parent to have the safety of children in mind.
And I wish that I went into my interactions with my fans with that same mindset of like, everything I say can affect them, and think about how this can affect these people that you're interacting with.
Did parents ever confront you after? Did you ever get any kind of interaction with an adult who said, this didn't feel good for me and my child?
No, I never did personally. I don't know if someone got that message and I never received it. The only complaint I ever remember receiving in that way, in person from a live show or anything, was at the beginning of my shows, I used to do a ukulele song. Where I would,
damn ukulele.
I know, where I would sing the hate comments that I received. And it's hate comments, so there was a lot of bad language, and the comments were on the screen, and I would sing them. And we did get some complaints about that. They were like, you're saying bad words. Like
That's what the complaint was. Not that these are clearly lots of comments from children that you're making fun of. Not that like kids should be leaving hate comments, but like it's very obvious. The ones that she chose with like very, very like obvious misspellings and quite like immature comments. And honestly, that was a concept that I actually thought was quite clever and fun back in the day, because I thought, oh, what a great twist on hate comments. And then I'm reading through them. I'm like, geez, these sure seem like they were written by kids. And that's weird.
It's like in the first 5 minutes of the show, and I have my young kid here, whatever. And so then I changed it. I bleeped the words on the screen, and I bleeped the audio of it too, so that you couldn't hear or see it. And we also changed on the website everywhere, like, this is a PG-13 show, like, making sure everyone knew that this was not a kid's show.
That's still a kid's show. To be clear, 13 is still a kid. Okay? I don't know why we have to explain this, but just because a child becomes a teenager doesn't make them an adult. Okay? There are all kinds of kids out there. There are much younger kids who can handle a bit of like older humor and content. There are older kids who are operating on much younger content. Yes, you can only do what you can do in terms of rating your own content, but like this jumbled sort of dialogue about who Miranda is for and who these live shows were for really is a moot point, because at the end of the day, even if it was a show for teenagers and up, teenagers are still kids. So no, it may not show up on YouTube Kids, which to my understanding it did for quite some time, but it's still the target audience is still kids.
Because I got that complaint. And so I don't know if we were getting that complaint and it was stopped before it got to me or not, but I never received a complaint like that. And in fact, I was usually told, oh my gosh, these jokes that were, they didn't get it, but it was so funny I can't believe, it was always the shock of like, I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you did that. And I was always told that it was all funny. And
yeah. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you did that. Who are you? The next George Carlin?
It was so ridiculous and over the top. And
time is interesting. Time is really interesting because if you go back in time for entertainment, there's been many a comedian, many a entertainer that has done things in their early career that when they look back on, they wish they didn't.
Sure. That's the evolution of comedy. We have been through this here on this channel several times. I believe we started really talking about it when it came to like Deaf Noodles, who by the way is running for Congress, which is weird. Anyway, we have talked about the evolution of comedy and how comedy does evolve over time. So most comedians do look back at their past content, which has now since devolved from where we are as a society to look back and go, wow, that's in poor taste. Kind of wish I didn't do that, knowing now and operating now how I do. That's why old sitcoms and shit don't typically work very well, and you have to remember that like this was with an early 2000s or a 90s or an 80s or a 70s lens, and you can't judge all comedy by a 2025 lens. I think it's perfectly normal to have content that you look back on and go, wow, that was not the move, or wow, that feels outdated now, or wow, I sure have grown. Because if you don't have content like that, then you probably haven't learned a whole lot, or you're just a better person than I am. I don't know.
That has done things in their early career that when they look back on, they wish they didn't, because culture changes. While people were laughing with you and quote unquote at you because of the character, it must feel so like two-faced for you, for all these people who were laughing with you, and then all of a sudden
have them turn against you.
Yes, it's painful to see people who supported me and laughed with me and all this stuff suddenly turn and change their mind about it. But I don't blame anyone but me for, I completely blame myself, especially because I know that people do make mistakes and people can learn and grow and change. And one of my biggest mistakes was not listening and addressing things and taking responsibility.
And playing the ukulele.
Yeah, I'm playing that damn ukulele.
So I just don't want you to forget that.
I will never, trust me, I will never forget that.
Just make sure.
I went to a fair with my husband and kids, and they had these like colorful little kid ukuleles. And I was like, oh, I want to get one for one of our kids. And my husband was like, no. And I didn't even register to me, which is crazy because I always think about it. And I was like, no, what? He's like, do you have something to put it in? I was like, I'll just carry it. And he goes, no, we're in a public place. No. And I was like, what's wrong? And he was like, you cannot hold a ukulele that is hot pink and walk around a fair. Are you insane?
Are you insane? Like, are you genuinely okay? I also think that to this point of like, oh, when the audience turned on her, the audience found safety in numbers. And I think you'll see this a lot when there's like a mass exodus from a creator or like a sort of uprising of their fans or a cancellation or whatever. Is like the people who were in close contact obviously had never, like, it's like the Spider-Man meme, right? Where they're all like pointing at each other and they're all the exact same fucking person. They're like, oh shit, this happened to you? Well, this, it's like they're all just comparing notes. So like, it's just, it's not, nobody was turned against you. People were shown, again, proof that you have made some very, very shitty choices. So I love that we were making ukulele jokes. Nothing says I'm sorry like let's laugh about it right now before I even take any actual accountability by apologizing to the people that I've hurt.
Let's get back to what I was talking about. I just got distracted.
Now, this is a live show. My apologies for never going and seeing the entire thing.
No
but
worries.
if you could explain why there is a clip of YouTube of a little boy eating Cheetos out of your pants, could you explain that for the audience, please?
Pulling Cheetos, that makes it sound more egregious. Like he's physically eating out of her pants. He wasn't. He was taking one.
Oh, he was taking a... See? That's how things get twisted.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's called you didn't do any research. Sorry, but you being misinformed is not like the internet's fault. That video exists. Still, you could have just gone and watched it.
So could you explain it, please?
Well, I mean, what a crazy thing to hear.
I gather us all here today to tell you a crazy thing. One time, I had a little boy come up on stage at my show and pulled cheese puffs out of my pants. Isn't that wild? Can't we all relate to that? Am I still relatable?
That there's a woman on stage and there's a young person taking food out of her pants and eating it on stage. I mean, that's crazy. A lot of the joke with Miranda was that I would say and do things that were inappropriate or had some sort of sexual innuendo to them or something like that. And it went over the character's head. Like Miranda was not aware that she was saying something that could be taken the wrong way. That was a lot of the jokes that I did as the character. And so in that particular part of the show that I did, it was probably 8 to 10 years ago that I used to do that bit. Miranda was teaching the audience how to sneak food into the movie theater. And so I stuffed a big bag of cheese balls in my pants.
Now, I've only seen this video maybe once or twice when I was originally covering her cancellation. And you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong and you know better than I do, but I do believe that the bit was Miranda going on a date with someone in the audience. And that someone happened to be this little boy who couldn't have been more than like 8 or 9. And she's, yes, explaining how to hide snacks on your person and then offers the little boy the cheese balls from the bag that is in her pants.
So I'm hidden the snack in the perfect place, literally. Now watch this. We're on the date, James. It's really romantic. Oh, we're getting close and personal. Do you want a cheese ball?
So, calling it sexual innuendo that goes over your head when it's really set up as Miranda going on a date with this child, I think we're undercutting the actual problem.
Now, I was wearing layers of clothing because throughout the show, I put more clothes on over my clothes on stage. When I transitioned from me into Miranda, I, in front of everyone, put on more clothes. So I'm wearing lots of layers of clothing, and then there's the cheese balls in a bag and in my pants. And so initially I would bring up an adult, and I'd start eating the snack as we're, quote unquote, watching this movie. And then I'd say, do you want a snack? And then they would take a cheese ball from the top of the bag and eat it. It was supposed to be like, she doesn't realize how inappropriate this looks. And then, you know, there's a clip, like you said, of when a younger person came on stage and did that with me.
But, like, you have the authority to choose who comes up on stage and does that with you. It's not like, oops, it was an 8-year-old. Like, you choose the people. What the fuck are you talking about?
And the audience is laughing because, and you could see my reaction, like, this is a weird situation that
No. Again, we're not going to rewrite history. You were laughing because the little kid was hilarious. And he said something, I don't remember what it was.
I can't believe I'm reaching in there right now.
And you could see my reaction, like, this is a weird situation that I'm in here.
We are so rewriting what actually happened here that I am getting ready to punch a wall like a tile in someone else's apartment.
I'm in here, but it got a big laugh, and everyone knew that it wasn't Jess. And this is me trying to, you know, rationalize. That's the word. Yes, rationalize the situation. But shortly after, like, I mean, I'd say within a year of doing that joke, I cut it because I was like, I think this.
Within a year of doing that joke, you what?
Cut it. Like, I stopped doing it.
Okay.
Because it was, I mean, my fans were, a lot of them were younger at this point. So I was like, I'm not gonna, obviously this joke is not, I'm not gonna do this anymore. It's not working. It's not appropriate. And so obviously I cut that. I regret doing that. I should have never brought kids up on stage, even though the joke was that Miranda doesn't know that this is inappropriate and the audience is like it.
No, the joke was that you were doing something inappropriate. That was the joke.
It doesn't matter. I should have been like, if I'm going to do this joke, it's in my adult show that I'm doing with adults that are consenting and know that this is the joke, that Miranda doesn't understand that this could look bad.
So you have admitted to sending lingerie to an underage fan.
Yeah, what an idiot. Is how I feel about it now. I think it was like 10 years ago, something like that. I was doing a live stream, and I always loved giving away gifts to my fans online. So I would send them like a bobby pin of Miranda's or a lipstick of Miranda, an old shirt, Usually it was to encourage them to donate to a charity event that I would do every year. But I loved giving out stuff. And so I was doing a live stream like I did pretty often, and I was opening up a box of clothes that I had bought, and in it was this underwear bra set that I didn't order, and it was we were all laughing about it. So everyone in the chat was laughing about it, me and my friend, and he actually put it on over his clothes and was like, "Look at this," and we were laughing about it. And there are people in the comments saying, "Oh, send that to me, send that one to me," and we were like, "We're not going to do that. That's crazy." But then there was one fan in particular who kept asking us to send it, and I was like, obviously you can tell in the live, like I'm like hesitant about it because there is a little bit of brains in there somewhere.
Are we sure? Let's roll the tape and find out.
That outfit, screaming, homeschooled Christian University realness.
Adam, Cookie Ballinger said, "Hi, you are such a fashion icon," and tweeted the ugliest picture of me. This is honestly the worst outfit. He's so rude. What made you order these ugly clothes?
Adam!
Those clothes are nasty. He's so rude. Oh my god, he's so sassy. Your Twitter account is making me laugh so much. Oh my god, that makes me laugh. I want to send him something. Do you want the bra, Adam?
Adam, do you want the bra and panties? Tweet right now.
Oh my god. Yeah, Adam, let me know what you want. He's in Ireland. Hi, Adam. I love you. Okay. I'm sending him something. Okay, maybe he'll want the panties. Although then his parents will be like, "You're not allowed to watch who is sending you panties." He'd be like, "Mom, don't worry. I watched a boy wear them online first."
Damn. This rewrite needs a rewrite, huh?
That was like, maybe not, because I hesitated, but...
No, you didn't. You didn't even hesitate a little bit. What the f*** are you talking about? You instigated it, you fucking weirdo.
I want to send him something.
Then I was like, and I didn't send it. I didn't. But then it was just became an inside joke with the fandom, and everyone was like telling me to send it, and he kept asking for it. It was like months of this. And so finally I did, and it was very public and as a joke. And it was like a part of my brain was missing. And
give him the old razzle-dazzle. And by the razzle-dazzle, I mean the old Ned Fulmer.
An action of like, hey, this is not a good idea. This looks bad. It wasn't a pair of my...
Right.
Something that I sent to a young fan in a inappropriate way, but it was inappropriate. Like, why would what part of me thought like, everyone will know this is a silly joke in the fandom? Like I wish I'd never done that. That was so inappropriate. And if he was made to feel uncomfortable because of that, like, I feel terrible and I'm so sorry.
Girl, you are so something. You are so full of fucking shit. You are so full of shit. You are so full of shit. The fact that the only things that Adam McIntyre has asked for, she's talking about Adam McIntyre in case you don't know. And the only things that he has asked for in this scenario are for an apology to him and his mother. That's what he's asked for. Again, those things could have been given at any given moment. We also already had an apology video about this specifically that prompted all of her fans and stans to go harass Adam. If I made him uncomfortable, I'm so sorry. Okay, but it's making me uncomfortable how you just tried to rewrite how all of that just happened, how all of that went down, the actual facts. You're sitting here lying and then saying, if I hurt you, I'm sorry. The fuck? Are you okay?
I thought it was a silly thing, and it was so stupid.
It's also difficult, I think, in that specific situation when you feel like you're being given permission, if you will, because everyone is saying kind of the same thing. Everyone seems in on the joke. Everyone seems to understand it.
Everyone is children.
Understand it. Everyone is saying, send it, send it. And then you have this person not dropping it after that, but continuing the conversation weeks after this has happened.
Look at her. She knows she's fucking lying. She knows she is lying. She knows she is bold-faced lying. She is so full of shit. And she knows that Adam's gonna clock that shit. And I know he's already made a video earlier today watching this. I haven't watched it. I did drop in to send my validation for his anger. But I there is no way she believes half the shit she says.
I can see where you don't think about potential negative consequence because in that moment it feels pure.
Yes, there is nothing more pure than jokingly sending lingerie to a minor for the plot or whatever.
You're not sending it in a sexual manner.
No. Well, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, like, it was my responsibility to know.
Yeah.
I shouldn't send this. This could look really bad. And this could make people uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yes.
That's where, even though it doesn't matter how many people were egging it on or asking for it or begging for it and thinking it was so funny and everyone, it seems like this joke, I should have taken a second and been like, maybe send a bobby pin.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the thing to send to someone.
I feel like someone who is less knowledgeable about the situation would be like, wow, she seems like really self-aware. And all I hear is like lip service.
This is not something
Not a bobby pin. A silver one or a black one?
Well, I think I usually use
I think she was just joking. I don't think we actually have to answer that question.
black ones for Miranda.
the brown one, that's
black,
cute.
Reds.
Something else, Colleen, that has come up and been discussed is the fact that you would participate in group chats with your fans, and there were minors in those chats.
Almost exclusively, yes.
And there would be questions regarding their virginity and sex positions.
Right.
In
Their first periods, information about her divorce, her marriage, her husband, then husband's genitals, things like that.
inappropriate questions are being asked to underage people. What was going on?
That's true. It's completely inappropriate. And I used to do this weekly question and answer thing with my audience. And that particular group chat was full of a bunch of different fans of all ages, but they were crass and funny and ridiculous. And they would, whenever I asked for questions for my channel, they would ask me questions like that. They would ask me questions they knew I wouldn't answer that were over the top, inappropriate. So when one of them, which this part of the conversation is now deleted, those parts of the conversations are deleted or gone or somehow, I don't know. But when they asked for questions for theirs, I was trying to do the same jokes that they had just previously been doing with me. Stupid and inappropriate. Shouldn't have done it. I feel really embarrassed and stupid. And
Did you know they were underage at the time?
I knew that there were teenagers in the chat. Yeah.
Cool. Weird how those disappeared.
I did know that. And I also thought, well, they all know I'm not serious. I don't want the answers to these questions. They all know that I'm just joking around like they do this to me, and they know I'm not going to answer the questions.
Okay, but first of all, like, this could be applied to the time when she said ass pics to Adam. Like, I can infer that she probably wasn't actually asking Adam for ass pics. It's still gross, inappropriate, and something that you shouldn't do. However, asking your group chat full of mostly minors about what their first period was like is not a question being asked in jest. Sorry.
No, they don't want the answer. Like, I thought, like, this was it was clear between all of us that like I was joking. I didn't actually want this information from this person. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny to ask a really absurd, crazy question. And there were a bunch of questions I asked. Those were just a few of the awful ones that I did. And
are you a virgin? Okay.
I should have never done that. That was crazy of me.
It wasn't in a grooming fashion.
Absolutely not.
Again, grooming, not always sexual, but great lead in on that one, Raven.
It was in a stupid fashion. It was like I shouldn't.
For the laugh?
For the laugh. I thought it would make them laugh. I thought they'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that.
Maybe this is a good time for Colleen to take some pause and realize that perhaps she's not funny, because all these things that she's done that have been wildly disgusting or inappropriate have all been done for the laugh, and no one's fucking laughing.
Ha ha ha, like how they did with me often. They were very funny, that group chat of all these different fans. They were very funny, very dedicated, wonderful people.
So you were being one of the kids.
Yeah, right.
And you had forgotten.
Yeah,
so
right.
You were acting more like one of your kid viewers versus remembering that you were actually the adult in the chat.
Right, exactly.
The adult with all the power. I'm sorry, that's reductive as shit. You got lost in the sauce thinking you were one of the kids. Well, you're not one of the fucking kids. Are you? I hate this.
Yeah.
And that lends itself to the power dynamic that you had referenced earlier, where you kind of had lost the awareness of that relationship or dynamic.
There was no part of me that was wanting that information truly from them. I wasn't trying to get anything out of them. I was just trying to be like one of them, which is embarrassing to admit. Because
it should be, because it's embarrassing to hear you say that out loud. And it's embarrassing that you wanted that. And it's embarrassing that you did that. I am embarrassed for you.
Because that was not my responsibility in that time. I was trying to be silly like them and be their friend, when in reality, I was the one who's supposed to be the responsible one. I was the adult there that should have never participated in that conversation.
You shouldn't have participated in any conversations. You should not have been in group chats with minors. Period.
And should have never joked with them about that kind of stuff. There's the power dynamic there, that parasocial relationship that I wasn't thinking about, which was irresponsible of me. Like, I should have been thinking about that, and I should have removed myself from that chat immediately when they were joking about things that were inappropriate.
No, you should have removed yourself from that chat before you even got in it. You still don't get it.
I shouldn't have ever participated in those conversations. And it was rare that I was in there talking to them, but that is one of the moments where I did interact, and I wish that I hadn't.
You're still a fucking liar. This is me calling you a liar in ASMR.
Let's talk about JoJo for a second. Oh. So we know JoJo.
Mm-hmm.
You
what
know
up,
JoJo. You became friends with her when she was how old?
I first met JoJo, I think she was 11 when I met her and her mom for dinner, because JoJo was a fan, and she and another girl from the Dance Moms show wanted to meet me, so I went to dinner with them.
Some people will say that that was an inappropriate friendship for you two to develop since she was 11 and you were an adult. But thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't look at it as a friendship at first. She was 11.
I believe you referred to her as your friend several times. I also think a lot of her JoJo Siwa's relationships with people like Colleen Ballinger and Jane Dawson are why she is dating a man who's like 10 years older than her, and why every weekend when he goes away she posts a picture of herself crying. It's weird.
Yeah.
And I looked at it as a sweet young girl. I loved the show she was on, and she liked my videos and looked up to me, and she wanted to meet me. And to me, I wasn't looking at it as like becoming best friends with her when I met her. It was just a sweet meeting. And then she's a hustler. You guys know JoJo. She immediately was like, well, I want to do, I had a video called Colleen's Corner that I answered questions every week. So she did JoJo's Juice to do the same kind of, she kind of looked at me as like a mentor, someone she looked up to. And, I don't want to speak for JoJo, though. It feels weird talking about this without her here, but she can say this herself if she wants. But, so over time we became friends because she was such a hustler. She'd want to collaborate. And so we'd get together and make videos together.
She around in the early days when you brought your son home from the hospital?
Which was also very common for YouTubers and fellow people in the world to want to collaborate and get to know each other.
I, for one, love having children who are creators over to my house to collaborate. That feels very natural and normal.
Feed off each other's videos.
Right.
So
Yes, we became friends, but it always felt more like a family thing because I'm a big family person. Like, I love my family. I'm always with my family. We're always hanging out. We're always having family gatherings. And I think that, again, I don't want to speak for her, but, you know, she liked to come over to our family gatherings and hang out with my family where we'd be playing games and, you know, eating pizza with my parents. And sometimes her mom and her brother would come, or dad. Like, it was a very family.
They're a big family. The Siwas are a big family.
And, you know, and my brother and all his kids were there. So he's got 6 kids, and they'd all be there, and we'd all be playing. The kids would be putting on performances, and we'd all be laughing and playing it. So it always felt very, like, sisterly friends. And yes, now that she's older, and I would definitely consider her one of my close friends, and I love her dearly.
Oh, that's bad PR for her.
And I admire her so much. I think she's incredible. I was very involved with talking with her mother all the time and making sure her mom knew when we were hanging out. And her mom was like, I'm friends with her mom. I love Jess.
Yeah.
That's all very shocking to me that people look at us being friends as... I mean, I guess it makes sense considering the allegations that have come up against me.
With proof.
But I think JoJo's amazing, and she's like a sister to me, and I'll stand by that forever. There's nothing weird or inappropriate about our friendship or our relationship.
Except the, you know, like 45-year age difference.
She is amazing. She's my sister, and I have a sister, and she's like a sister to her as well. And JoJo doesn't have a sister, and she's excited that now she calls us her sister. So yeah, it's never been a weird or inappropriate thing.
I mean, sure. Okay. Like, why aren't we talking about other stuff? Why aren't we talking about Trent, her brother Trent, and his inappropriate relationship with Oliver? Why aren't we talking about, I don't know, the myriad of other things that she was accused of and did and that there was proof of? It's almost like our hosts didn't research this at all.
Even though YouTube is a community of non-celebrity and celebrity people coming together and uploading videos, it has become an industry of its very own.
Totally. Yes.
And within an industry of entertainment, which is what YouTube is now, people are going to interact of all different backgrounds and all different ages. And there are so many YouTube kids that are not on YouTube because they're doing it themselves. They have their parents there with them.
Namely, your 3 children.
And we know Jess as well. We know the family. There will never, ever be a time where Jess is not aware of what JoJo is doing.
Yeah.
And I want to keep people aware that we really do have to be careful in how we throw stones at people when we don't know the entire story. When there is a culture within the entertainment industry that not a lot of people understand.
so much has happened.
What the fuck does that mean? Who was that about? Is that the audience at large throwing stones at Colleen? Is it throwing stones at the relationship between Colleen and JoJo? Is it throwing stones at JoJo for her inappropriate relationships with people who are significantly older than her? Like, could we narrow that down before we hit the jump cut?
And I can only imagine that having to absorb and internalize all of this, a lot of it must have made you have to change. I want to know about some of these changes you've gone through since the height of the controversy.
Well, I'm much more anxious now. And I've been through so much therapy.
And rocks. Don't forget the rocks.
And I also just think I go into kind of everything with a different perspective than I did before. I mean, when I responded to everything...
With a ukulele and deflection. Featuring deflection.
These people have shifted their opinion who were laughing with me and now they're not. And instead of thinking about like, well, why? I was like, that's not fair, you know, which was the wrong reaction. And so now I look at things a lot differently, just in general in life, you know, even if I feel I have been wronged in any way or whatever, my go-to now isn't like that person's wronged me. It's what are they going through? Why did they say that? What's the root here? Because I think with everything that I went through and everything that I was canceled for, I was so caught up in the things that weren't true, and well, they're missing the context of this, so and that was taken out of context there, and this was deleted from this, and I wanted to explain everything.
But you didn't. Instead, you came back and just blamed everybody. And also, the context in a lot of these situations doesn't matter.
And prove that I wasn't this horrible person, this monster, but like in my response, I kind of proved I was kind of like
Dismissive.
Yeah, I was dismissive. And so, I've learned to take a beat and try to hear what people are actually saying. Because yes, there's going to be all the noise. And even when you're just having a little tiff with your partner, they're going to say they're mad about things they're not really. And it's important to try to like sift through the crazy and get to like, what's the root here? Why is this person hurt?
Right. See, this would be a lot more meaningful if you actually took the time to apologize to any of these people, or even having acknowledged this on your own channel, on your own time, of your own volition. We've heard about the rocks and the rats eating your Miranda costumes. We've watched your loveless marriage unfold on your podcast. We've heard you make jokes and references to ukuleles. We haven't heard you say, I finally get it. I'm internalizing what you've said, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my behavior. I was wrong. And even though my intention and the impact were very different things, I'm really sorry. You have yet to reach out to any of these people privately and say, I am sorry. And I'm confused as to why this is happening on someone else's podcast instead of on your own channel, even your vlog channel again. Is it because this podcast has a big reach? And maybe if you're not directly profiting from this video, that maybe it looks better. The optics are better on a video that you're not monetizing yourself. Because if you want people to actually believe the things that you're saying, they have to translate in your everyday life. There can't be ukulele jokes. Some food for thought there, sweet cakes.
Yeah. And how can I help them to feel better? And how can I explain this in the right way to help them feel safe and okay when they're not feeling good?
Well, you could start with apologizing. Any real semblance of accountability. Using their names.
Well, that mindset definitely comes with maturity. Mm-hmm. That's something that we all have to learn. That's something that people aren't born with. That comes from trial and error.
Wait. Are we saying basic human empathy does not come naturally to people? The fuck is this podcast?
That comes from trauma. Mm-hmm. And that comes from a situation like what you have been through.
Been through? What you have been through? What you have been through? So she's the victim now. Of course she is. She never wasn't the victim.
I already hear the comments on this video. She's gaslighting, manipulating. Oh, she's a narcissist and a rat. I would never make a mistake like that.
Knowing that this lives online forever, how are you going to explain this to your children?
That's part of the reason why I'm here now. I kind of was of the mindset for so long, like, I just don't want to talk about it. I'm extremely non-confrontational, and I'm very anxious.
Is that why you had the kids in your group chat finding dirt on people? Or anyway, I'm sure your kids will find it naturally when they're up in the middle of the night with a camera in their face.
And I will do absolutely anything to avoid a confrontation or avoid someone being upset with me, or to a fault. It's not something I love about myself. It's something that gets me in trouble. And so I don't want to continue to, bring it up for people that they don't, it might hurt them, or, I just feel like, people have...
How are you going to explain this to your kids, was the question.
Said how they feel about me, and I'm just going to back away because that's what I think that people want at this point. It's kind of how I felt.
You are coming back around to not say, take me in again.
No.
But you're coming back around to say, I know what I did. I know what I need to change. I'm changing. You don't have to love me. You don't have to like me.
Right.
But you recognize what happened. And that takes a lot of fucking courage.
It would if she did it on her own fucking channel. It would if she directly apologized to the people that she hurt. To be clear, she has not. Not even a little bit, okay? Yeah, that would be good growth. Yeah, that would be good evidence of character evolution. But those things haven't happened. Ew, what the fuck is this podcast? I implore you, what the actual fuck is this podcast?
I obviously wish I could go back and do everything differently in my reactions to this whole situation. I feel terrible that I made anyone feel anything other than happy and safe in our little community.
Is that why you had people go out and get dirt on other people? And talked at length about your divorce? Cheated on your husband with your new husband? All right, sure. What the hell?
Online. That's all I ever wanted, and I feel so terrible that I disappointed so many people. And I'm can't even talk.
You're okay. Take a beat.
Stressed.
Grow up. Get the fuck out of here.
I should have thought a lot more about my interactions with my fans and how it could affect them. I should have been more responsible and thought about how these things could affect people, especially, the teenagers that were interacting with me. And I'm so now, in hindsight, like grateful and proud of these people for coming forward and saying, like, hey, this is not okay behavior. Because even though I know that I never wanted to hurt anyone and my intentions and my desires were nothing negative in my interactions with these people, that needed to be said. They needed to say, like, hey, this isn't okay.
This feels like manipulation. Perhaps it would feel less like manipulation if she had ever actually acknowledged in detail or apologized to any of these people.
Because there are people out there who they do have the intentions to hurt them, and they need to be able to say, like, this isn't okay and I'm not standing for this, and like my heart was in the right place. It doesn't matter if people felt uncomfortable. I'm proud of them for saying, like, this wasn't okay and this made me uncomfortable, or this is not an okay thing to joke about, or whatever. You like, that needed to happen.
Okay, well, let me give you another one. The ukulele is not okay to joke about. Just want you to know.
And I hope that anyone interacting with anyone online, whether it be a celebrity or a new friend or anyone, goes into it with that caution up of, like, what are these person's intentions? And assuming they're negative going into it, I feel like is a good thing to protect them from
Real predators.
Real
Yeah.
predators
Real
who actually do
predators.
want to hurt them.
Right. Right.
I'd be curious to know your thoughts on what you think your spirit is here to learn. Because what you've had to endure
It's a big learning lesson.
is it's a masterclass beyond.
Yes, for someone who's maybe, say, 16 to 21. And that's pushing it.
And it has, I think, brought you to your knees. It has made you, as you said, more anxious. It's shifted your perspective. You had to take 2 years away. You haven't been online. I mean,
What? This bitch posts more vlogs than she did before her cancellation. What the fuck? These two immediately discredited. You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
it really kind of changed your life. So what do you think the lesson is for your soul, your being on earth right now?
There are so many lessons. I mean, the things that I've learned and reflected on and thought about over the last couple of years is, I mean, I'm a completely different person now in so many different ways. One is, I mean, thinking about things from other people's perspectives is important, because while, I might have been like, I can't believe people would say this, I'm sure everyone watching was like, why? I can't believe she's not addressing this properly. I can't believe she's,
And still hasn't, to be clear.
they felt betrayed by me, my fans and supporters, that I wasn't addressing this the appropriate way, and
Or in any way other than in bitter, cunty song.
explaining what was going on. Like, and so I've learned to try to, like, look at conflict from the other person's perspective. I've also, every thing that I do and everything that I say, especially as a person of influence, is I'm impacting people. And is that impact necessary, and is it good?
Well, at this point, the impact is only about a 3 to 10,000 person reach. So I think it'll be all right.
Because sometimes you don't need to make them laugh if it's going to hurt someone along the way. Like, you don't need to, it's not worth it.
That's okay. You're not that funny anyway, so it's not like it'll be all right. You're doing fine. Get back to those rocks.
Yeah.
Thinking about the long term, as someone who thinks in the here, right now, what will make people happy right now and make people like me right now, that doesn't always result in good things. You know, thinking in the long term and how is this going to snowball and affect people in the future it's a way I've never thought before, and it's something I'm still learning and working on, because it is my go-to to be like, how can I make this person happy right now? I just want, and that causes problems. You really need to be thinking about the other person's well-being.
Right, which includes acknowledging in detail the things that you've done and apologizing, and then changing the behavior. A reminder that these things have not yet been done.
And how it will affect them in the future.
Yeah.
And so that's something I've learned and I'm working on a lot.
It's apparent that you want to make amends.
Apparent to whom? Apparent to whom? Anybody?
That you are taking responsibility for the things that you have done in the past that were not okay.
Doing it here on this podcast instead of on my channel because...
And you've said, I'm sorry now, many, many times.
Where? I've heard her say it twice in an abstract. Like, she has not directly apologized to any of these people. Or even in a blanket statement, she has not apologized to people, like, collectively. But I think you know that now, which is why we changed the title of this podcast. Didn't we?
Before being on this show, and now many times today on the show. But I want to know
how you have a guest on that you do zero research on. Because no, the fuck, she hasn't apologized to anyone. She hasn't apologized to anyone. In fact,
I know you wanted me to say that I was 100% in the wrong. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna take that route of admitting to lies and rumors that you made up for clout.
are you okay? Research your guests. It's not that hard. It's all on the internet.
Have you been able to / will you forgive yourself?
Who fucking cares? Can you forgive yourself for not saying you're sorry? Can you forgive yourself for abandoning a child in a city he wasn't unfamiliar with? Can you forgive yourself for asking strangers who are also children about their first periods?
For some things, I think. But I also think I'm one of those people that, like, whatever hate comments or hate I receive, I've already thought it about myself at some point in my life. So, I'm my biggest hater.
Aww. There she is. There's relatable Colleen.
They ain't got nothing on me. So, like, it's hard for me to have grace with myself and forgiveness. And I think that's why it's taken me so long to even say anything, is I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll just back away. Because I just, and that's one of the things I've learned in the last 2 years, is so much of my self-worth was based in the validation from my fans and making sure I was being entertaining and I was giving them what they wanted. And that was who I was as a person.
Oh, here come the waterworks.
So when that was taken away, I was like, then I'm nothing.
Nothing without my flourishing career making the funnies and fart jokes.
So that was a really hard lesson for me to learn, to find peace and happiness and validation and be okay with myself with that not there. Because you can't put your entire person and your whole validation in, like, what others think of you. And that's what I was doing with my fans. I wasn't anything without that.
Oh, hurry up and feel bad.
The person that you are, because you've struggled with your worth, because you've struggled with your confidence, it's like when you have those questions of, am I worthy enough to be here? If you're in this industry and you show weakness, that will be eaten alive.
Yeah.
Because people prey on that.
Right.
And I think your soul's journey here is to learn that you're worthy.
Of what?
And to really find peace in yourself
Right.
and love yourself. Because I tell you,
Well,
it's brutal.
I'm still working on that one.
I know.
I think like,
yeah.
you know, this is not a woe is me thing at all, but like there was, with everything that happened, I was about to do another Broadway show, and I was writing my next book, and I was in the middle of a big tour, and everything was one by one like plucked from me. Everything that I'd been working on and worked for decades, was gone, and it sucked. But like honestly, like what really struck me was who am I without this validation from these people?
And if you pan out, that's still one of the weirdest things I've ever heard. Go to therapy, you fucking weirdo.
So it took me a while to wake up and not be disappointed,
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I definitely worked really hard to get there and realized one day like, oh, I'm not getting any validation from any audience, and I'm okay. Like, and obviously I have the most important things in the world to me, which is my children and
the ability to film them. Yeah, we got it.
My family, and that's all that I need. Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm at now. I think I needed to get to that point before coming out and saying anything, because I need to have everything that I need before I
Yeah. You need this.
make sure this is because I'm just want to clear the air and say my side of things without any like expectations or,
Yeah, totally. I'm done with this interview, by the way. There's only like another 30 seconds. Unless this is followed up by a really lengthy, fully explained, fully accepting accountability and full of apologies video on her main channel after this interview, I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it. It has the same tone as James Charles would like to be uncanceled now, please. It's the same fucking thing. Apologize to the people you hurt. Use their names. Apologize to them publicly and privately. I thought I was going to yell a lot more. I am astounded at what a fucking weirdo she is. Okay, that's really it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And that 3 Colleen stands, y'all have a good one. Make sure you subscribe or don't. I don't care. I just want to go to bed. I'm tired now. Bye.
You guys having fun? All aboard!
Thank you so much, Colleen, for coming and bearing your soul and being honest and addressing the concerns of others.